From the last episode,
K.E. Thomson, a seasoned author, ministry leader, and a guiding light for families.
Children just needs to know it's okay if they don't understand. It's okay to ask questions, and it's okay to be sad or happy or laughing instead of full of tears.
Welcome to a weekly podcast hosted by Maria. Today's guest, esteemed author, K.E. Thomson.
Welcome back to the podcast where we sit down with incredible authors to explore the stories behind their books and the journeys that bring them to life. Today, we're honored to once again be joined by K.E. Thomson, the talented author of Oh No, Where Did He Go? A heartfelt story that has already touched so many readers through its English edition. In our previous conversation, we uncovered the inspiration behind the book and the powerful message it carries. Now, in this third episode, we're diving into something very special, the release of the Spanish edition of Oh No, Where Did He Go? We'll be talking with Ms. Thomson about what prompted her to bring her story into Spanish, why she chose this language over others, and whether more translations are on the horizon, and the role Spanish plays in today's literary world. So get ready for an inspiring discussion as we explore how one story can transcend languages and reach even more hearts around the globe. Let's welcome back K.E. Thomson to the author's den. Hi, Kay.
Hi there, Maria. It's good to be back.
All right, it's wonderful to have you with us again. So let's start with the heart of the project. What inspired you to create a Spanish edition of Oh No, Where Did He Go?
Well, the more I looked at the book after it was all done and printed, and I began to think about we spoke in English, but not everybody speaks in English.
True.
And pictures do some help for other languages, but I know some Spanish speaking people around my area in Roseville and Sacramento area. And I used to live in the Bay Area, and we had Spanish speaking people in the area. So I thought, well, start with Spanish because it seems that people either speak English or they can understand Spanish, or they can speak Spanish and understand English a little bit. So it was hard to decide which was the best one to start with. And I had someone who spoke Spanish, lived Spanish, and was willing to translate it for me. So that was my inspiration, was I had someone that I could trust that could translate it into Spanish.
Well, that's a good decision because Spanish is the second, I think, most spoken language in the entire world. So
Right.
everybody could relate to that.
Yeah, that's what I thought. And you asked about other languages. I think when we see if there's interest in the Spanish book, that might give me, inspiration to go with a different language. Someone asked me if I had it in um, French or German. And at this point, I don't, but it's not out of the realm of possibility.
I was talking to somebody and I spoke about your book, and one said it should be in Italian as well.
Well, we could do that.
Yeah, I said, I'm sure
Yeah.
pretty soon Kay may be considering some of that. Anyway, what impact do you believe the Spanish language has in the literary world? I mean, especially for children's books like yours.
Well, I think, no matter what ethnic background you are
Hmm.
and what you speak, it's still, death is hard to understand. And it's hard to put your arms around it and say, I get this. I see what this is. I understand it. But um, I think in your own language, it makes it a little more real. And death is real no matter where you live and who you are.
I think you could connect better if it's
Right.
read within your language. But
Right. Right.
how was the translation process for you? Did you face any challenges ensuring the message and emotions of the book stayed intact? Because sometimes if it's translated into different language and if, it could muddle up the message that you want to convey.
Right. Right. Um, the girl I had do the translation, they speak Spanish at home all the time.
Mm-hmm.
There's someone in my church that said, well, I speak Spanish, but it's a little bit different because there's different kinds of um, wording in different translations. So I went with the gal that knew and lived it. And I had someone double check it and make sure it read right. And the translation was very close to the English version. And I just trusted God to make it work.
I'm sure. How about the feedback have you received so far from Spanish-speaking readers or families?
Um, to be very honest, I think they're more interested in um, the graphics and the artwork
Oh,
in the book. It draws their attention. And then it's, oh, yeah, it's in Spanish. This one's in Spanish. So I haven't gotten a whole lot of feedback that we're happy to have this in our language and that kind of thing. Not yet, but I'm hoping that it will come.
and do you feel that translating "Oh no, where did he go" expanded its message to a broader global audience?
I think so. And I know, like, if you if you're in a Spanish class, even if it's an adult Spanish class, you could read this book and understand it in the Spanish language. And so, it could help in some different kinds of classes, not necessarily all children, but maybe a parent speaks Spanish all the time or most of the time, and they could understand this and it could help them relate to their children, would be my hope.
That's interesting. So, how do you hope Spanish-speaking children and families will connect with the story compared to English-speaking readers?
Oh, that's a tough one. I think if you don't speak any English, you can probably understand the Spanish version, and maybe it would inspire some people to have somebody help them read it or read it to them because of the story and the artwork that's in the book.
I'm sure your granddaughter did a fabulous job because, there are certain books that you don't need to read, but just look at the illustrations and you would understand where it's going.
Right, right. And they could see that's it. I think Macy was very good with the graphics. It just really told the story without too many words at all. Because children don't just, and adults don't just
Mhm.
lose adults. They don't just lose grandfathers or they don't just lose the male population. They lose their moms, they lose their dads, they lose their grandparents. And so it doesn't really matter
Mhm.
uh, who you lose. This book relates to wherever you are in the grief process.
Right. So, what advice would you give to other authors considering translating their books into another language?
Well, it's not an easy process on your um, you have to be sure that's what you want to do. You want to give it a try. And I said, okay, God, I'm going to give this a try and see where it takes us. And I'm hoping that I will have some responses come from different book fairs, and we're advertising it in the Zulon Press catalogs and stuff
Mhm.
so that people will see it different places and maybe they don't have any Spanish in their family, but they know somebody that does and they need the book, they need the story, they need the hope that Jesus brings.
Right. So, beyond translations, what's next for you as an author, Kay? And are there new projects or follow-up stories in the horizon?
Well, I would hope not death,
Oh,
although
yeah.
there's been quite a few death experiences around my area where I live, and I think, how can I best work with that? I have a grief class that begins on September 9th, and I always offer the books at a discount in the at the class, and um, but I also have been thinking about the possibility of writing what do I do now or where do I go now? That
Right.
kind of
Yeah.
that kind of thinking. Because when we lose somebody that we love and we don't know what we want to do, where do we want to go?
Where to
And
start, you know?
yeah, where do you begin? Yes, yes.
Mm, that's very interesting. So, have you considered about doing a world tour perhaps one day?
Well, I would like to if the purse strings allow it. Yeah, that would be good.
That would be great.
Yeah, I know my book has been in Canada in a couple places. I just know people in Canada, and they took the book there. I have not actually gone there recently. I used to go a lot when my husband was alive, but it would be great to be on a world tour. I am scheduled for, I believe, a regular live um, video
Hmm.
on the books, and I believe it's I want to say the end of September sometime. But I'm waiting for final details on that.
That would be great. So, question, how
Mhm.
are you today?
Um, I am good. Um, I had to do a meeting this morning with a group of ladies, and I thought, oh dear, oh dear. But I just always ask God to go in front of me in meetings, say what I need to say, let Him tell me what to say. And so I think, open your mouth and God will say something. And He never fails. And so that's a good thing. Yesterday, my well, most mornings is my prayer that help me put my feet on the floor, God, and show me where I can be of help to somebody else. And yesterday was one right after the other, um, terminal cancer, leukemia, and just on and on. And I thought, okay, God, maybe I shouldn't ask that every day because it was just exhausting.
Hmm.
However, at the end of the day, I could say, thank you, God, I was able to help people today. I was available. And I think, that's just kind of my prayer these days is this, Lord, make me available for whatever you want.
Oh, beautiful. Okay, thank you so much for joining us once again here in the Author's Den. It's always a pleasure to hear the heart and vision behind your work. And today's conversation about the Spanish edition of Oh No, Where Did He Go has truly shown me and everybody how stories can cross languages and cultures to touch even more lives. Thank you so much, Kay. And to our listeners, if you haven't picked up a copy of Kay's book, whether it's in English or Spanish, or soon is it in German or Italian, Kay?
Yeah.
I encourage you to do so. It's a meaningful read for families everywhere. And don't forget to get a copy of her book, Oh No, Where Did He Go? The Spanish version over at kthomsonbooks.com, Barnes& and Noble, and Amazon. And that wraps up today's episode. Stay tuned for more inspiring conversations with authors who continue to bring imagination, hope, and powerful messages to readers around the world. Until next time, this is Maria, and thank you for listening.